Hello, it's Crafty Carol here again from Northern Ireland. I'm a Stampin' Up demonstrator over here in the UK, and I'm going to show you today how to make this lovely card with the Earthen Textures suite. All the products I've used are on the website, so go to there if you want to see the full instructions rather than watch or listen to me do them here. And all the products are listed there. You can add them all to your cart and buy them. Don't forget, if you spend £30, you can spend over £30, then you can get retired products from my shop to the value of £30 just by sending me a list of what you would like. So without further ado, let's go on and I'll show you how to make this card. This is the Earthen Textures. I'm going to be doing quite a few cards with this because I've slightly fallen in love with the set. It's got some lovely thank you. You are proof there is good in the world. With gratitude, your thoughtfulness is much appreciated. You always know just what to say and do. Lovely sentiments in it. Beautiful stamps and these lovely vases and these lovely ferny type things to go in it. But that's not all, because if you get the bundle, you get all sorts of other leaves that you can actually cut out and some beautiful patterns and textures, as well as an extra little, there's another little bowl really, and some twigs and all sorts, as well as all the dies that cut out the stamps themselves. So it's a beautiful, beautiful set. But I wanted to focus on it today to do a technique called Faux Metal technique. It involves heat embossing, but the technique is called the Faux Metal technique. And it's basically a way of making what looks like a sort of moulded image in metal. So what do we need for the card? Well, we need a card base, and I've used copper clay and I've cut it long ways. So I've cut it the sheet of A4 in half long ways at 10.5. That leaves the whole sheet, which is nearly 30 centimetres, and you score it at 14.8 and fold in half, and that gives you the card base. The piece of DSP that's going on the front, and this is from the lovely just reach it now, Earthen Elegance paper, 12 by 12 paper, beautiful papers with all sorts of shades of brown. It's got my favourite moody mauve in it, and on the reverse, I won't show you all the pictures, but they are all beautiful. On the reverse there's some beautiful colours and textures, so just have a quick look at those. I will be making more cards and showing this in more detail. There's a quick look at the different sheets that there are. They are very beautiful. So I'll put those to one side. So that's the piece, and the DSP piece you need for the front, and check your pattern if it's got a pattern on it. So this needs to be 14.3 by 10, and then various other bits I've got. I have another bit of copper clay, and this bit is 9 by 7.5, and a piece of DSP to go on top, which is 8.5 by 7 centimetres. And I've also got a bit for the sentiment, and that sentiment, the little bit of vanilla card, is about 5 3/4 or 6-ish centimetres by 2, and the bigger card is half centimetre bigger all round, 6.5 by 2.5. So that's my sentiment. And then I also have my back, if I can pick it up, it doesn't want to come. There we are, my backing piece for my faux metal bit, and that is 7 by 5.5. And then, see if we've lost it, no, there it is. The piece for the front is a piece of card 6.5 by 5, yes. And actually I've used a slightly thicker card. You can use basic quite thick. This is actually, as you can tell from the back, this is actually one of the pieces that comes in the back of either these pieces of DSP or behind our new catalogues. So I always use everything. Why waste it? It's going to be covered, so we don't care what colour it is or what it looks like. But you need a thick piece, so basic white thick or whatever. We could use very vanilla thick, whichever you've got. So let me show you first how to... Oh, and the other thing you need, sorry, I forgot this bit. This is beautiful, isn't it? It's called the Natural, what is it, Natural Look or something ribbon? Can't remember what it's called now. wavy trim, that's right. And it's a lovely natural colour and it's just beautiful. Don't know if you can see it. Hopefully that's coming into focus. It's just lovely. So a little piece of that to go across the front as well. So I think that's all the bits we need. Oh, a piece of very vanilla for inside, I forgot to say, and that is 9.5 by 13.8, yeah, for the inside. Right, let's talk about the faux metal technique. So I'm just going to use a very dirty, obviously, piece of paper because we're going to use Versamark and we're going to put several layers of embossing powder on. So I'm going to get my Versamark pad and I'm just going to make sure I've covered the whole of the piece in Versamark. And this is why I'm doing it on the paper because I don't want to get Versamark all over my desk. So once we've covered it in Versamark, we're going to get the copper embossing powder. And I always keep mine in old Chinese containers, clean obviously. And we're going to just cover the whole piece with the embossing powder. And then heat it up. So there's the piece done. And I'm going to, yes, I thought I had it round. I'm going to just heat it up on my mat here. Don't try and hold it while you're heating it because you'll burn your fingers. So I just use my pokey tool or something just to hold it while I heat. So I'm going to get my heat gun and heat it up. Always make sure your heat gun is hot before you start. Okay, so you can see that this gives it, don't try and touch it, it's hot. This mat is hot, just be careful. Don't burn yourselves doing this technique. But you can see how the embossing powder melts when it's covered. It gives it a sort of really rough, banged metal sort of look anyway. But we're not going to stop there because if you're going to use it to stamp into, which we are, we need more layers. So I'm going to let it cool and then repeat that probably 3 or 4 more times. So I am going to move through the video very quickly because you don't need to see me doing that. But wait for it to just cool and have finished setting. Hopefully that's about right now. Lovely. So then we can just repeat it. And as I say, I'm going to run through the video quickly because you don't need to see this too much, but you'll get the idea. So we just repeat what we've done. Cover it in Versamark. Make sure it's well covered. Cover in embossing powder and heat and repeat 3 or 4 times. So when you've got it, I've done it, I think 3 layers on that one. So when you've got it reasonably thick, then we're going to stamp into it. So heat it up again so it's nice and melted, really hot. And then while it's hot, you're going to use your stamp and stamp into the middle of it. So just hold the stamp in just for a second. And there we go. And hopefully, this is still a little bit melted. Whoa. You can see there's my lovely stamp right in the middle of my metal. And you can see how it looks like bashed metal. It's just so beautiful, isn't it? It's a lovely technique. And it doesn't damage the stamp at all. Don't worry about that. Really doesn't damage the stamp at all. You can just wipe the stamp afterwards and it's absolutely fine. Okay, so I'm going to let that properly dry and tidy up. Right, so for the sentiment, I'm actually using the thank you for the set. And then I've got something different to use for the inside. Don't forget, whenever you're embossing, unless you're embossing the whole piece, you'll notice to do the whole piece, no way was I ever going to bother using this because I'm covering the whole piece, so it doesn't matter. I don't need to worry about any finger marks. Whereas when you're embossing something like a sentiment, always use an embossing buddy. So on my tiny, tiny piece here of Very Vanilla, I'm just going to use the embossing buddy all over it to make sure that I've taken any oils off from my fingers or whatever else I've got lying around the place. And then I can use the Versamark again to ink up the thank you. Try and get it centrally on that piece. There we go. Which, can't pick it up. Obviously you can't see that because it's Versamark, you can't see it. So I'm going to just use this and, oh, magic, there appear the words. So just tap it gently to get rid of any excess. And you'll see there I haven't got anywhere I don't want it to be, which is perfect. So I can just heat that up, and it's quite small, so I'm going to use this to hold it again. And that's my sentiment done. So there's the sentiment all, there, I think you can see it's just in the, yep, hopefully that's getting the light so you can see that's nicely embossed. I'm going to stick that on its little tiny mat, and then we can put the card together. So this is nicely cooled now. It will lie flat when I put it on. I'm going to use something quite hard like tape to make sure it does actually stay down. And I can actually just use something heavy just to flatten that a little bit while I before I prepare the card. So to put the card together, first I'm going to place this around. Now, because it's an open weave ribbon, then it's actually quite difficult to stick down on the front. So I'm not going to, if you want to stick it to the front, then you can use some glue dots. I don't want to because I'm going to be putting something slightly underneath it anyway. So I'm just going to use some tape on the back. So I'm going to work out roughly where I want it, turn it over, and then I can work out where I need to put my two little bits of tear and tape on the back to hold that ribbon in place. Oh, got a piece of tear and tape that's obviously already come off. And come off onto my finger, which is not where I want it. There we go. These things never happen when I'm actually crafting. They only happen when I'm trying to do a video. Anyway, so I can then stick the end of my ribbon into the tear and tape on the back, and it'll hold it in place where I want it. Make sure it's straight. There we go. There. So there's my ribbon, and it's raised from here so I can actually slide, because I want to slide one of the other bits underneath. So I'm going to stick that to the card now. There's my front piece stuck on the card. Now I'm just going to very simply stick my next piece down. So just sticking them together with some, oh, look at that pretty peacock on the back of that piece. Might have to use that too in something. That's beautiful. But I will be doing. Keep an eye, because on the next few weeks I am going to be making more with this gorgeous set of dies and stamps. So this is what I'm saying about I actually want to slide this in. Now, I could have stuck this on, then stuck the ribbon round, but I like to be able to push things flat when I'm trying to place them on a card to make sure I've got them even. So this, I'm just going to lift this slightly, and then I can slide it in behind without getting glue everywhere. There we go. Now my piece of embossed, I'm just going to just gently shape it so it's come back a bit flat. And I am going to use some Stampin' Seal on this. Could use tape or whatever your favourite adhesive is, but make sure it's a good adhesive for this. You could use Tombow, just make sure you're holding it down very well while you're setting it up. So there's my faux metal vase, and that is going to sit just here, and I'm going to put this on dimensionals. So, oh, my sheet of dimensionals is nearly finished, but there's always some to use. So I can just tear off some little bits and use those around the edges of this. So I'm too lazy to go and get a new sheet of dimensionals out. So I've got the bits, it's fine, they still work. And I like to use the whole sheet anyway. Can be useful to use the very edges of the sheets because sometimes the bits are just the right size to fit behind quite tiny images or tiny bits you want to stick. So always use the edges of your sheet. So I'm going to be sticking this just about here. So I'm placing over the ribbon and pressing down. And there's that in place. And I'm finally going to finish by sticking a thank you together. And I'm going to have, just as this is out, I'll keep using the seal, I think. So again, just trying to line that up and get it straight always helps. And again, I'm going to put this on with a couple of dimensionals on the back. Well, actually, I might use that little row of dimensionals. Why not? There we go. Makes that quick. So my thank yous going up in this corner like that. And there we have our faux metal technique card. To make the inside for the card, I'm going to use a piece of Very Vanilla, which is 13.8 by 9.5. And I'm using the lovely in colour Copper Clay ink pad. And I'm just going to stamp the same image that I've actually used for the faux technique on the front. I'm going to use in the card here. Just there. I'm using the same thing on the envelope, just to let you know. I won't show you that, but I always stamp my envelopes too. And I'm using this rather nice sentiment here. You are proof there is good in the world, which I rather like. So there we go. I like the underlining on the thank you. I'm not quite sure on that sentiment. It looks a little bit odd, but hey, it's the sentiment itself I'm worried about. So there's my insert for my card, which I will put in, and then we'll see the finished card. And there we are. There is our finished card with our thank you, our pattern at the back, and our lovely faux metal image on the front. I think that's a lovely card, and I hope you have a go at it. I hope you have a go at this technique. You can use, looks beautiful for things like leaves, if you want to do an autumn card, or anything really that would look metal. So any vase, any shape like that would be really good for this. Anyway, there is my card. I hope you like it. If you're interested in buying any of the products that I've used, then they're all listed on my blog, and there is a button to add them all to the cart, and you can buy them from me. And remember that if you don't need to add all of them, by the way. You can just choose the ones you want to add, or add them all and then take out the ones you don't want. That's another way to do it. But if you spend more than £30 with me in my shop, then you can choose anything you like from my online store, my online retired items, to the value of your order. So that's for every order over £30, you can choose items to the value of your order to add in. So just to do that, you just need to write me a list. Let me know what you want when you've made the order. So I hope you enjoyed that card. I hope you're going to have a go at this technique, because it's really good fun. It does provide such a beautiful, I'm just hoping, it's nice and sunny today, so I'm hoping the light's good enough for you to really see this. And yeah. Please do subscribe to the channel if you've enjoyed this card. I'll be back with some more very soon, and I will see you then. Bye for now.